Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude, Pascal.
What's up? Diddy's trial has started again right now as we speak. Even during the taping of this video, I will be on at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time to watch and do a recap and do a live show following everything with Cassie's testimony, her cross with the defense. It's going to be a very interesting one, to say the least. But nonetheless, it has been a very whirlwind of a testimony from Cassie just by the prosecution. So imagine what's going to happen when the defense starts doing their cross-examination on her. It's going to be absolutely crazy, I'm sure. And everybody, I'm sure, is at the edge of their seats waiting to see how they're going to treat her, how the whole conversation is going to go. But one major bombshell that went off is about Jonathan Oddi. Yes, guys. Now, if you don't know anything about Jonathan Oddi is a guy who claims to be one of the guys that was paid to be in these freak-offs with Cassie and Diddy. He, of course, went crazy, went to a Trump resort, started firing off in that particular resort. He got hit twice in the leg, was arrested, and during his interrogation, he said some very wild things, or at least at the time, police thought he was just talking wild, talking absolutely crazy, saying that he was basically Diddy's S-slave and was made to do certain things with Cassie, and that he contracted certain diseases and all that stuff, for lack of a better term. Of course, police didn't take him seriously. But now, of course, internet sleuths and people have been talking about this for years now, only to find out that Cassie pointed out Jonathan Oddi on the stand yesterday, guys. And so now Jonathan Oddi's name is being thrust into the conversation. And obviously the main question right now is Jonathan Oddi going to get subpoenaed to testify in this massive, high-profile federal case? That's one thing I'm kind of curious about. The rumor mill is saying that he will be, but I don't know about all that. I have yet to hear anything confirming him being actually subpoenaed and brought in to testify. And I'm sure he's more than willing to testify in this situation, okay? And of course, there's a lot of background story to this. I highly recommend you guys go and check out my recent video of me covering Jonathan Oddi and this whole situation. Again, this was a rumor mill. This was a rumor, okay, that has now turned into an actual true thing, which is wild, which also makes you wonder all the things that we've been wondering that were actual, just urban legend or just rumors out here in these streets. Could they all actually be true? Could a vast majority of them actually be true? Quite possibly, right? But nonetheless, Jonathan Oddi apparently did an exclusive interview on News Nation. And of course, I got to say it. Shout out to News Nation. Shout out to News Nation. I'll clap for him too. Okay, for getting this exclusive. Real talk. This is amazing. All right. And I really think that we should listen to this and take a second to hear all of this. And of course, like I said, I'll be back on today to do a recap. And then, of course, a live coverage of the trial for today with Cassie. The cross-examination from defense is going to be happening, or has already been happening as the recording of this video. So it's going to be a very interesting one for sure. So let's take a listen to this News Nation exclusive interview with Jonathan Oddi, which, by the way, isn't Oddi the dog from Garfield? Asking for a friend. Anyway, let's move on.
A man named Jonathan Oddi opened fire at Donald Trump's Miami golf course and was shot and arrested by police. Now, Oddi said that he was in the middle of a bipolar episode. That's where it gets interesting. Later, while being questioned by Florida authorities, Oddi brought up something totally unexpected. He claimed that he'd been a sex slave for Sean Diddy Combs and Cassie Ventura. This video is courtesy of Real World Media. Take a look.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate, tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard lots of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a slave.
So at the time, Oddi's story seemed too far-fetched to believe, but not anymore. And now, in an exclusive interview, Oddi opens up to News Nation senior producer Allison Weiner about his claims, beginning with why he's agreed to talk now.
Now, here really quick, before we get into the interview, I just wanted to point out, this interview was done before, and this episode, this interview and this episode came out before before Cassie actually identified Jonathan Oddi in the courtroom yesterday, just so you guys know. So again, it's insane that Jonathan Oddi was indeed a part of these freak-offs. Again, like I said, there may be some people that have been telling the truth this entire time, but we may not be believing them because they may have been coming off seeming a little crazy, right? I mean, he's saying this stuff, confessing to cops after going and shooting all up in a Trump hotel. You know, like, of course, I get that they're going to sit there and go, yeah, right, you just talking crazy. But people were listening, especially after Diddy got arrested.
Listen to this.
I felt bad because I got along well with her, and I think she's a decent person. And unfortunately, I had a suspicion that she was in a situation that she was in, but I wasn't sure. And now I understand what was going on in my life and what was happening. And him beating her up in the hotel shows me the type of individual he is, and confirms that everything that happened to me was true and correct and in line with his personality.
Wild.
So he's speaking to us from a Miami jail now. Here is how Oddi says it all began for him.
I was a male chicken deal, a model chicken deal, you could say. And they called me for a show they called the agency that I work for to do a show. And then I went into the show, and things led to them offering me more money to perform sexual acts. And that's it. That's how I basically got started. I get dressed like a police officer on the show, and they'll strip down. And then, they offer me some more money. They offer me some more money to do some extra stuff.
You know, what's interesting about this is, first off, the fact that it all started with simple, him just, taking some clothes off. And then, of course, it gradually just became more and more and more intense, right? The intensity just kind of went up a couple more, just got a little bit more intense, which is very interesting about that, for sure. What the other thing I find very, very sad about this is that, I mean, in general, with people in the working world, people don't take them very seriously. We see this with the Rex Heuermann case, the Gilgo Beach serial monster. We hear about these quite a bit, where it's like people who are, working the streets or just straight up S workers, not being taken seriously when they make claims that they have been violated or that they were a part of something. And especially, I feel now more than ever, it's coming from male S workers more than ever right now. All of the S workers that are coming through right now, at least for right now, aside from the victims, okay, aside from the women that were his girlfriends, all of them are men. And so I can see how a lot of people instantly don't take them seriously even more, because they're men. They're male S workers. So imagine, right? They might be on they might be knocked down a couple tiers solely because they are men speaking on this, right? But that's kind of what we hear a lot about, right? When men speak out about either being SA'd or something of that sort, the public tends to turn a blind eye. Okay, not majority of the public, but you know what I'm saying. So it is interesting that he's out here saying these things, and of course, none of it was taken seriously at that time, right? And I get it also is behind what he just did at that hotel, which was bad and was crazy. But at the same time, no one did any investigation into this until Diddy got actually arrested. And maybe the stuff hasn't been looked at until now because he was identified in the court yesterday, right?
So Oddi did get specific about the extra stuff that he says Diddy wanted from him. And these specifics were consistent with what he told law enforcement during the 2014 interrogation. Here is how he describes the atmosphere and how frequently it happened.
Candles, sensual atmosphere, lights off. He would sit in a corner in a sofa, watch and masturbate. And he'd say, he'd tell her, give her instructions what to do to me. Perform oral sex, rub baby oil. Then he'd tell me rub baby on her, perform oral sex, and then have sex.
How many times did you have sex with Cassie?
Probably like 15 sessions.
And what did you get paid? How much?
It would be like 800 each time.
Dang, only 800 to spend 36 hours to 4 days in a room bumping ugly. Man, 800 that's insane. That's insane.
Each act, but sometimes they'll call me twice. I'll leave, and then 3 hours later they will call me, come back.
Wow. 3 hours later, come back.
And so Oddi claimed that the sessions were drug-fueled and that his concern for both Cassie and himself led him to get one of their sessions on video. Listen to what he says about that.
Yep.
Why did you decide to record?
Just so you know, this is how he got his $5 million before he went on a crazy spending spree on properties and then lost his marbles. Just so you guys know, he basically blackmailed Diddy and said, I have video of me and Cassie and you doing all this crazy stuff with me. All right. And then they did a settlement. Okay. They did some sort of NDA type of agreement. He took the 5 million and then, went on a crazy spending spree and then had a bipolar episode. Let's go.
Or video.
Because after she passed out, I decided to record that. So in the event anything worse happened, like if she died, or anybody died, it will be on camera, it will be on video, what happened. So I wouldn't be responsible for any of that.
So you were beginning to worry about her doing drugs. I mean, like about her dying or him dying or somebody dying from the drugs, and that you would be held responsible. So you brought a video. You brought your phone?
No, I had a USB video memory stick done like spy shop, and I put it in the water on the table, in the living room table of the hotel I was upstairs. I just filmed it, and had everything described.
Wow.
It had her threatening me. But he was telling her what to say. We had an argument. When I left, I knew they were paranoid. So I wanted to guarantee my safety. So I texted him and said, hey, if anything happens to me, I got evidence of being with you. At the settlement table, there was a lot of irregularities, okay? Mm-hmm. It was my first settlement. So they brought me in, and Diddy had a T-shirt with 2 men in ski masks pointing
Mm-hmm.
and it was black and white, and it had a red frame. Okay, but that's the way he operates. He communicates, threatening you, like saying, "I'm gonna have you killed."
So Oddi says to prevent the recording from going public, that's what he was just talking about, Diddy had him sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, in exchange for $5 million in hush money. This was in 2014. The Daily Mail ran a screenshot of what appears to be a signature page signed by Sean Combs and Oddi. We have not been able to obtain the document or verify its contents or authenticity, nor have we been able to verify the existence of the video that you heard him talking about. Now, according to Daily Mail's report, the timing coincided with a spending spree by Oddi of Florida real estate, and it also coincided with Oddi's divorce. His ex-wife tells the Daily Mail that she found out about his windfall only after their split.
Basically, the day the incidents happened at Trump National Doral, I had taken medication, and I didn't. I'd been diagnosed bipolar, but I wasn't sure I was bipolar. And I had an episode, and basically, I've been taking medication every day. I've been stable. I had no issues in jail. I've done excellent behavior in jail. Yeah, I'm ready to come out to society and be a productive member of society.
All right, so Oddi remains locked up in a Florida jail, still awaiting trial on charges of attempted murder, armed burglary, aggravated assault, and armed grand theft. Regarding the sex slave claims, we've reached out to Sean Diddy Combs' team for comment and have yet to hear back. And thank you.
Now, here's the thing. When it comes to Jonathan Oddi and the things that he claims, clearly those things are actually, well, maybe not every nuanced thing is true. Right. And you also got to remember the power of perspective. Right. It's the power of memory. In real life, Diddy could be wearing a red shirt but in his dreams or in his memory, I'm sorry, it's a blue shirt. Right. Things can be altered with memory. But one thing is for sure, he has been picked out. He has been called out and picked out in the trial. In the courtroom, Cassie most definitely saw a photo of Jonathan Oddi, most likely not one of his mugshots, okay? Not this photo, but when he was healthy, in shape, younger, right? And she points out and says, that is Jonathan. So that is, without a shadow of a doubt, proof enough that these claims are actually true. That's why I feel like now more than ever, people are starting to look at this interview even more now. They're looking at old videos talking about Jonathan Oddi, Jonathan Oddi, even more now because Cassie pointed him out. Here's the other thing too, and this is what Daily Mail said in their article as well. This man was like negative $1,500, $1,800 in his bank account. He had not even one red penny to, he didn't have any money at all. He was broke as hell. Then suddenly out of nowhere, he's going off and buying, millions of dollars worth of property in the Florida area. I mean, literally that doesn't make any sense for someone to have no money to suddenly have a whole bunch of money to be out here spending it all. So again, not sitting here saying that it's all a source of Diddy, but there's still a possibility of that as well. But one thing is for sure, that part before he was picked out called out and identified in court, that of course would raise some red flags. His the dramatic change of his life financially. Yes, he lost his marbles. Maybe he's not only having a bipolar episode, but maybe he's overwrought with guilt for the things that he has seen and the things that he experienced and the things that he may have realized that he was a part of, that he didn't realize he was a part of at that time. I mean, to see the type of of all kinds while you're in that place, and not putting those pieces together until much later definitely can take a toll on you mentally. But it is now, for sure, there is no question about whether or not he was involved in these situations or not. He has been identified in court by one of the star witnesses of this entire trial, Cassie Ventura. So again, it's very interesting that there's been people who have been talking about Jonathan Oddi for a minute now, and now the truth has finally come to light. But what say you guys? I think this is interesting. Very, very interesting. And I'm still wondering, will he be subpoenaed? Will he be brought in to speak out against Diddy? Remember, he allegedly blackmailed Diddy into a $5 million NDA so that he can destroy footage that he had on his own phone, because apparently he couldn't take it anymore either. And also, he wanted to make sure that if anybody lost their life, like Cassie, because apparently she was taking a little bit too much stuff because of Diddy, he was covering himself so that he wouldn't get in trouble, just in case. He was using that as proof, evidence, as protection. He got $5 million. So this is, like I said, a very, very interesting situation. And I'm glad that this rumor has been confirmed or denied, but I'm glad it got confirmed so that we can actually get more information about what's going on here. But one thing is for sure, we've hear it time and time again. Yes, I know it's hard for women to step out here and speak out, period. But it is very interesting, the seriousness and the concerns that come from any type of S worker. But it is also very interesting that these male S workers have come forward, have been speaking out, and a lot of them haven't been taken seriously at all. And I feel like that's what it is with most people in the S working industry. They don't get taken seriously. And that's really, really sad. I know his situation was a bipolar moment. He might have been going through a spell even when he was talking about Diddy and Cassie. But at the same time, I really wish that the police, when they heard him, took what he said seriously and just looked into it. You know, just dove into it just a little bit. I understand you could still be skeptical. You still think that the guy's lost his mind. That's fine. But you can still just do a little bit of research just to see if he's telling the truth or not. But that's just what I think. I think it's going to be very interesting if he is to be brought in to testify. Clearly, he's going to be speaking against Diddy. So prosecution, hey, prosecution, I think you might want to call him. Okay, you might want to call him to the stand. I think that it would be a very good thing. You got 8 weeks. You got plenty of time to get him up there. So make it so, because I think we all want to hear all of the truths. And also, if he was moved around, if he was ST'd around here, trafficked around here, come on now. Let's get to it. He's a perfect prime example and a living, breathing person that's still alive on this earth that survived all that as well. But what say you guys? Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Hit that like button down below. Crush that subscribe button. And we'll talk here soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.
Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.